Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Dad FF. Joined as always by my main man, FF Snoog. We are coming at you again doing round 2 of mock drafts for your rookie draft during rookie season. Whereas right now that you guys just smash a sub today and enjoy the process, we are literally bringing you content to help you dominate and smash your offseason. Check us out on patreon.com/smash accept. And without further ado, let's break down, we did our round 1 mock just to recap. It's Genty 1. That's the clear-cut favorite. Hampton 2, Hunter 3, McMillan 4. We have a baby tier step down then from Henderson 5, Ward 6, Judkins 7, another tier down, Loveland 8, Igbuka 9, Warren 10, Caleb Johnson 11, and RJ Harvey 12. Snoog, before we start this second round, I'm trying to get into this first. Like, this first round is juicy. Like, I there's not a single pick here that I don't like. I'm trying to push up just a little bit where I could take my 202 and add a 26 second even to get into the 110 area, because getting Igbuka, getting Harvey, getting Caleb Johnson in this class is a major advantage.
Yeah, we talked about it backstage, how there's a big gap right after you get through like that top 5 guys in the second round. So if I'm picking in this range, you're either just taking a young wide receiver with how this board's probably going to fall for us right now, or you're trying to trade into that range. Like Dad said, if you can get into that 8, 9, 10 range, get a Loveland, get an Igbuka, get a Warren, get a Caleb Johnson type of player. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what he's trying to do. That's what you should be trying to do.
That's what we're all doing, baby. What you should be doing is going over to patreon.com. Use code DRAFT25. You get 25% off your yearly subscription. That is our biggest sale of the entire year. A lot of you guys have already taken advantage of that. Snoog, you get the first pick here. We did that in the first one, and you got Genty. You go 201 here, and you still got, I think, 201 to 204. There's a lot of guys, maybe 205, that really could go into this area. Who's your guy here when you're looking at that 201?
Yeah, the 201's interesting to me because it's been a little different for different leagues for me. I've seen Caleb Johnson there. I've seen RJ Harvey there. I've seen Matthew Golden, Jaxson Dart, all these type of guys. In this case, with our big board right now, it's Matthew Golden for me because you get a first-round wide receiver going to the Green Bay Packers in I want to say it's a wide-open wide receiver room. People might say it's crowded. Yeah, it's crowded for all the mid-tier turd sandwiches that they have right now that can't catch a football. Matthew Golden is the best wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers. You're getting a player that's a first-round draft pick, 21 years old. Yeah, there's a lot of flaws in his profile, the analytics, the numbers. I wasn't super in on him. I did not think he was deserving to go top 12 like he was being mocked. And I didn't think that he was this great prospect, better than Igbuka and better than Tet McMillan and better than these guys like the draft guys are trying to push. But you're getting him here in the early second, first-round receiver. He's still a good player. I like the film. I love the route running. He can make plays. He's what Jordan Love needed. So I really like this pick for Matthew Golden. That's going to be my pick here, especially if I can't trade back and get Burden plus or Tre Harris plus or some of these guys plus. I'm going to stick and pick Matthew Golden here. And I just did in the league, actually, right at the 201 spot. So,
no, I love that. And I think he's definitely the pick there.
yeah.
The next pick that I'm considering here, I love that pick there with Golden. I'm going Jaxson Dart. I think Jaxson Dart has one of the highest ceilings in this class. You look at him, over 4,300 passing yards. He's a dual threat with a big time arm. I think he has that moxie for New York, an Ole Miss product that, Eli Manning called him the day he was drafted, said, hey, we're gonna take care of you here. And the issue is, as soon as he starts, because I think Russell Wilson starts at least 6-8 games, but as soon as he starts, his value skyrockets, and I think throwing the ball to Malik Neighbors, maybe getting another weapon next year, he has the upside to be a top 15 dynasty quarterback. And I think getting him at the 201 in 2 years from now, we're going to say, dang, that was a deal. I got Jaxson Dart in this area, and he is going to lead me to championships as a nice solid QB2 the rest of the way.
Love that pick. Yeah, and the thing, too, it's always process over results, right, Dad? Like, you did this with Penix, you did this with Bo Nix. You're taking a quarterback you don't even have to believe in, but you're believing in Dabble, Malik Neighbors, the system, the offense, a team that's in desperate need. He gets to sit with 2 great vets that have been in the league forever in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. He's got the arm talent. He's got the traits. He's got the rushing upside. There's a chance he busts, obviously, always, but like first round draft capital and 6-point passing, Superflex, and all these leagues we're doing, mostly 12 to 14 teams. You're getting a guy at the 202. What's the risk? What are you going to be able to turn the 202 into? Because you can't get any first, because I've been trying everywhere and no one's biting on it. So I think this is a great pick there for Dart for you. The 203, again, another guy. I'm just going to bank on the talent, bank on the coaching staff, and bank on the situation long-term with Luther Burden here. Ben Johnson, he handpicks his guy the first year as the head coach for the Chicago Bears, a guy that broke out as a true sophomore with an elite season, crazy good yak player. If there was any head coach to completely erase all the worries and flaws you needed to worry about with Luther Burden, it's Ben Johnson. Like he is the guy. The screens, all the yards before their line of scrimmage, all that crap that people are looking into, worried about Luther Burden, you could go ahead and kiss it all out the window. It's fairy dust. It doesn't matter anymore because Ben Johnson is literally like, who was it that did that? Matthew McConaughey. Literally, though, because I think he can get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. So I love that Luther Burden pick there at the 203.
And this is, I still think we're still in that same tier. I think for me, I'm taking Tre Harris here. I think that Tre Harris, and I've been getting sniped on him in all my drafts. I've done 22 rookie drafts. I have not been able to get him at the 2.4. He goes 2.2, 2.3 almost every single time, but 6'2", 205 pounds, elite when it comes to yards per route run. Someone 10.4 targets, that was 6th in college football, 8.4 receptions, that's 2nd, 1 touchdown, receiving touchdown per game, 3rd in college football. He was elite. Like, this is someone that now goes with Justin Herbert. Like if Luther Burden was in a situation where he was going to be the number 1 right off the bat, I'm all for it. I think Tre Harris is a nice 1B to Ladd McConkey immediately day one. I think if you told me at the end of the day that he would be 3rd in the rookie, fantasy points per game at the wide receiver position, I wouldn't bat an eye at it. I think Tre Harris has the talent, and now he has the situation. I am smashing Tre Harris at the 204. And then I think we have about 1 or 2 more guys here that are in this tier still. To me, there's a slightest tier break from 204 to 205 and 206. I think when you're talking about getting Golden at 201, Dart at 202, Burden at 203, Harris at 204, and then the slight tier down, but the upside's definitely there for your guy at 205.
Yeah, I agree. And to me, I was really debating switching things up on you, but I'm not gonna do that to you because I'm a Texans fan. I'm gonna go with the guy that they took at the 34th spot, and I know they ended up drafting his teammate in the 3rd round still, but I think Jayden Higgins is gonna play the big slot role and kind of win on that like boundary alongside Nico Collins. To me, and the way I was thinking about it, not only is he going to probably cement himself as the wide receiver 2, if not the 3, if Noel ends up being better, but Jayden Higgins, to me, if Nico Collins goes down with injury, is going to have ridiculous amount of fantasy football upside with CJ Stroud, in my opinion. And you get an offensive coordinator or an offensive assistant and passing game coordinator coming over from the Rams, Nick Caley, who's been in the league for a long time, worked alongside McVay and some of those guys in that McVay tree, who loves 3 wide receiver sets, love motioning wide receivers. I think it's a really good landing spot for Jayden Higgins because I never thought he would ever be like a Nico Collins or a top 12 wideout, but he can be a guy in that top 30, top 35 range and just be a really good, solid player you're getting at that 205. And I think he landed in the right situation and right hands for that, with tons of upside if there's an injury in that room, which the Texans have had plenty of wide receiver injuries nonstop for the past 2 years. So I think this is a great pick for Jayden Higgins at the 205 spot with the draft capital and situation.
Yeah, and I think you're just looking at, a poor man's T. Higgins, and I think in this offense, you can see that where, exactly a little bit better Pittman, poor man's T. Higgins, something like that. But I think he's got a little bit more wiggle in his game than Pittman, but he's nowhere near the same level as Higgins, just a nice big body target. I think it's, all systems go for CJ Stroud. The next pick, and this is who I thought you were going to take. I will take this all day at 206. Again, I've done 22 smash drafts. I have not seen Cam Skattebo fall to the 206 once. I've seen him go as high as 202. I've seen him go, most of the time 204. I think Cam Skattebo going in the 4th round, just if it was 4 picks higher, right? If he would have just been in the 3rd round, people would be like, to the moon. And I don't get caught up on that. The running backs, it does not matter third round versus fourth round. Situation matters here. And he goes to a situation with the Giants with a almost wide open room. I mean, Tyrone Tracy was flashy last year, but fumbled the ball quite a bit. Cam Skattebo holds onto the ball. He's going to get the goal line work because that was not Tracy's thing. He's still a good PPR back. I think Cam Skattebo by week 6 to 8 will become the starter in this offense. You're going to start to see Skattebo and Jaxson Dart come in. And I think this offense is going to be pretty fun down the stretch. I don't think it's going to start out that way with Russell Wilson, but I think Skattebo is a great pick here. And now slight tier break, but there's a couple more guys I really like in this round. So let's take it over to the 207.
I think that Skattebo pick is the best pick in this round. I think that's the best pick and value that you can get. I've seen him go like 204 to 206, a lot of 204, 205. I'm yet to get a damn share of him, but I've been trying to get him everywhere, but no one wants to trade him. It's so frustrating because I want him everywhere, but I can't get him. But I'm just going to go with another one. The guy that went 2 picks or 1 pick right before him, they both went super early fourth. Early for fourth round draft capital is day 2 draft capital in any other running back class to me. So Liam Cohen, first year's head coach, comes in, handpicks. They draft the running back when it wasn't a need at all. They had ETN and Bigsby. So to me, that tells me ETN's gone after this year, or he's gone this year via trade. And they don't believe in Tank Bigsby to be a workhorse running back. So they want an explosive change of pace guy. The Tuten pick feels like it was just, I'm getting ETN again, right? Like he's not even close to ETN's talent. Never will be, never was as a prospect, as a player. But ETN's on the back end of his career as of right now with all the injuries and stuff, as people think. And I think that Travis Etienne needs a new home and a better offense, a better situation than the Jaguars and what they gave him for throughout his career. So it feels like that's going to be kind of that pick for Tuten to be that Etienne replacement for Cohen, and he gets his Bucky Irving type of player.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think he wants speed. You look what he did. He got, he went and he got Travis Hunter. Now he gets Bhayshul Tuten, and he's like, this is an offense where Liam Cohen wants to go fast. He wants to get it done. And I think I wouldn't be shocked if they're clearly going to move on from ETN in the offseason. There's still some opportunity there where, Tank Bigsby could still be traded. But the next pick here for me at the 208, and if I can get a wide receiver taken in round 2 at this point in the draft, I'm going to do that all day long. At the 208, I'm going to smash Jack Bech here. I think Jack Bech to the Raiders is very overthought. People are like, it's the Raiders. Jack Bech, a converted tight end. So it's going to be a lot more. I also like their Deontay Thornton pick, which I think is going to stretch the field considerably more. Ashton Genty, they are going to play some smash mouth football, and Jack Bech is going to be part of that. I think he is going to be their clear cut wide receiver 2. He'll be third in line for targets. So this is why this part of the draft, I'm not super excited about the guys from 208 to 212. But I think there's some definite upside there with Jack Bech. And, when we start to do round 3 mocks, you're going to see it's like almost the entire round is running backs because the running backs fell. But you can't pass on a guy that got as good a draft capital. I believe he went at pick 58. So I am in on Jack Bech. The next one, Snoog, I mean, we've talked about it from the beginning. This is a tight end class as well. Like we saw Warren and Loveland go late first. Now you get that tight end 3 here. A lot of us thought it was going to be Harold Fannin, but he goes to the Browns, sitting behind David Njoku. Mason Taylor gets that spot to the Jets, which I know you love.
Yeah, to me, he's the clear number 2 option in that Jets offense. He's 20 years old still. He's the 3rd best tight end in this class. He was the 3rd best tight end prospect in this class as well. Had a great combine. NFL draft scouts were super high on him. I love this film. He produced at LSU all 3 years as a young tight end. I feel like he is the only tight end in this class that has a chance to have that like Sam Laporta emergence, because they were both taken in that early second range, both super young tight end prospects, both super good receivers. That's like kind of what I feel with him. And it's like, he's probably not going to be Sam Laporta. The odds of that happening are very slim to be that great of a tight end. But to me, it's like in this range in tight end premium formats, I want this super young tight end drafted high to a team that needs weapons. And he's the clear cut number 2 behind Garrett Wilson. I've gotten him in a few leagues at the 211, 210 spot. So I think this is just really good value in this back end of the second for a tight end like that. And he's a great tight end prospect. He'd be top 2 in most classes.
I'm going to stick with the Texans here at 210. I think I wanted to see him become a Patriot. I'm not going to lie, because I think
too.
once we saw Higgins go to the Texans, we're like, oh my gosh, we could get Jaylen Noel with Drake May. But this is versatility, speed, elite level separator. You look at what he did at the combine. The 41.5-inch vertical, that was number one. 11.2-inch broad jump, that was number one. His shuttle was a 4.17, 4.39 40, checking every single box. Oh, by the way, he's an elite producer as well. So, I mean, I would not be shocked if Jalen Noel outperforms Jayden Higgins year one. I don't know what to do with any Christian Kirk shares. Someone tried to trade me Kirk straight up for Jalen Noel, and I laughed because I'm like, I think Noel is the talent that's going to be on the field. This more says that they're really worried about Tank Dell, but I think Jalen Noel is a smash at 210, and so is this guy at 211. We mentioned the Patriots already. You know, they don't go with Noel, but they do get Kyle Williams here, whose stock has risen dramatically from when we started this entire process. He wasn't even a fourth rounder for you and I. Now he's all the way up to I've seen him go as high as 208, you know, and you could argue him and Jack Bech or him and Mason Taylor just based on your need. If you're going to stack it up, you go Kyle Williams. If you're going to shoot for the ceiling, he has that.
He reminds me so much of like what Darnell Mooney was and could be. Like, I feel like that's what he could be for like an outcome, like a ceiling type of thing. Like that day, like that Mooney went in the 5th round, went to a smaller school as well, but they're just those natural, wicked good separators that are speedy, quick, good, just fluid players. And to me, that's what Drake May needs. He got Diggs. Now he's got Kyle Williams, separators, guys that can get open in the slot on the outside. That's what you want to see from a guy like that who's had a really productive career at Washington State. And to me, now you're getting him at the back end of the second with the upside of maybe being Drake May's wide receiver 2 or 1 long term if Diggs can't play week 1 or week 2 or week 3 or whatever it is with his injury, but he should be good to go. But it's a value pick. And I wish it was Noel, like you said, because he'd be probably 206, 207, 205. Or higher.
Yeah.
Or higher. But it was Kyle Williams. But so it helps his draft stock big time.
The next pick for me, I mean, you could argue Jaden Blue, who's starting to really move up. There's a lot of running backs you could argue here, Snoog, but you know who I'm going to take. You know, this feels so eerily similar to when I was taking Jalen Hurts everywhere 212. And I told you before that, you know, he's a Jalen Hurts light for me. 36 touchdowns, 20 rushing, you know, 2,800 passing yards. He throws a great deep ball. But he's going to run. I mean, ran for 800 yards and 12 touchdowns 2 seasons in a row. One of the most talented pure rushers of the football. And a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth because of Anthony Richardson. A lot of people have that bad taste, like, I don't want another guy like that. Anthony Richardson, you were taking 102. Jalen Milroe, you take a 212. This is what's awesome about this class is I won so many championships, and I got RJ Harvey at 112 and Jalen Milroe at 212. And it's just high upside, massive opportunities, you know. And if Jalen Milroe going to Seattle, Darnold is one of the shakiest starters, I think, in the entire NFL. I think with the Vikings, he did phenomenal, and the Vikings offense is set up for that. Seattle is not. So I think if he struggles in this offense and we see Jalen Milroe and you pick him at 212, I think he can put up a top 5 type week here and there where you're going to be able to flip him for even more. And I think that's really what you're trying to do with the 212 is you're just trying to get those guys that you can flip. I ended up drafting him quite a few shares. You know, I think I have 7 shares of Jalen Milroe already, somewhere between the 212. I got him at the 307 in one league. And it's like, if he falls into your 3rd round, trade up for him just because the process over results. You get any starts out of him, and he's going to be worth at least a mid-second. You're going to get him for a late second. So let's recap here. In the 2nd round, we'll go all the way up to 201. Snoog took Matthew Golden. Love that pick. You know, you get your wide receiver 1 for the Packers. Jaxson Dart at 202, the future franchise
pull the board back up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
pull that back up.
Right. Yeah.
202, Jaxson Dart. Absolutely. You know, that's your franchise quarterback. Luther Burden at the 203. This has the potential to be one of the biggest bargains in the 2nd round. I've seen him fall all the way to 206 just because of the landing spot. But let's be honest, if DJ Moore leaves town, Burden and Rome Odunze are going to be great values. Tre Harris at 204. You know, the 1B there with the Chargers. Jayden Higgins sliding into that outside role with Houston opposite of Nico Collins. Cam Skattebo at the 206. You and I have talked a lot about Cam Skattebo and Bhayshul Tuten, Both of those guys have a lot of upside. Those are the guys in this round. If anybody's going to be worth a first, it's in this range, it's those two guys. If they end up taking over the starting job, they both could be starters in 2026, Snoog. And that's really what you want here. We start to dip down a little bit. We got Jack Bech at the 208 with the Raiders, potentially as their wide receiver 2. Mason Taylor, the second in targets, potentially for the Jets. Then we have Jalen Noel, Kyle Williams, and Jalen Milroe, really rounding out that second round. And the biggest thing that I'm telling everybody in the Smash Accept Patreon is I'm saying, guys, once you get past 207, once Tuten's off the board, go ahead and move yourself into get an early to mid third and a future second. And I've been doing that everywhere where it's like, okay, I don't really want to take a shot on Jack Bech. I don't really want to take a shot on this player. I'm going to move back into the mid third, get a future second. And then I've been smashing guys like Devin Neal and Dylan Sampson and, a lot of high upside guys, Tyler Shuck, just some picks in those mid third area that I think are really going to increase in value. So make sure you guys check us out. We put the Patreon link there. We got that code right now, draft 25 for 25% off. Help us out with our YouTube page. Brock has been doing phenomenal edits. Make sure you follow him. That's at Brock Dynasty. I'm at Dynasty Dad FF. He's at FF Snoog. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the process.